The lesson title of Day 25 is Strategic Evaluation and Control. The lesson objectives: number 1, understand what is strategic evaluation. Number 2, enumerate and perform the step-by-step process of strategic evaluation. Strategic evaluation and control is the process of determining the effectiveness of a given strategy in achieving the organizational objectives and taking corrective action whenever required. Strategic evaluation is the final step of strategy management process. The key strategy evaluation activities are appraising internal and external factors that are the root of present strategies, measuring performance, and taking remedial or corrective actions. Evaluation makes sure that the organizational strategy as well as its implementation meets the organizational objectives. Next one is control. Control can be exercised through formation of contingency strategy and a crisis management team. Control means are a set of procedures, tools, and systems to monitor activities and to achieve goals. There can be the following control: the operational control and the strategic control. First, the operational control. It is aimed to allocation and use of the organizational resources through evaluation of performance of organization units, divisions, SBUs to assist their contribution in achieving organizational objectives. This control monitors the use of existing resources and progress towards existing plans. Operational control ensures that activities are consistent with established plans. The next one is strategic control. It takes into account the changing assumption that determine a strategy, continually evaluate the strategy as it is being implemented, and take the necessary steps to adjust the strategy to the new requirements. This control monitors the implementation of the organization's strategic plans. And also strategic control focuses on the dual questions of whether 1, the strategy is being implemented as planned, and 2, the results produced by the strategy are those intended. The next reporter discussed the 4 basic types of strategic control. The basic theme of strategic control is to continually assist the changing environment to uncover events that may significantly affect the course of an organization's strategy. And also the other reporters discussed the 4 strategic evaluation process.
The continuation of our report in Module 25. Now let's proceed to the 4 basic types of strategic control. First is the premise control. Premise control is a must to identify the key postulations and keep track of any change in them in order to assess their impact on strategy and therefore its implementation. Every strategy is founded on certain assumptions relating to environmental and organizational forces. Certainly, some of these forces or factors are very sharp, and any change in them is sure to affect the strategy to a great extent. So the goal is to find the assumptions are still valid or not. It is generally handled by corporate planning staff considering the environmental and organizational factors. The second is the implementation control. Implementation control, it includes evaluating plans, program, project to see if they guide the organization to achieve predetermined organizational objectives or not. It leads to rethinking. It consists of identification and monitoring strategic thrusts. In order to implement a chosen strategy, there is need for preparing quite good number of plans, programs, and projects. Again, resources are allocated for implementing these plans, programs, and projects. The purpose of implementation control is to evaluate as to whether these plans, programs, and projects are actually guiding the organization toward its predetermined goals or not. In case it is felt at any time the commitment of resources to a plan, program, or project is not yielding the fruits as expected, there is need for matching revision. That is, implementation control is nothing but rethinking or strategic rethinking to avoid waste of all kinds. The third one is the strategic surveillance. If premise and implementation strategic controls are more specific by nature, strategic surveillance is more generalized and overriding control, which is designed to monitor a broad range of events, both inside and outside the organization, which are likely to threaten the very course of a firm's strategy. Such strategic surveillance can be done through a broad-based general monitoring based on selected information sources to uncover events that are likely to affect the strategy of an organization. And the last one is the special alert control. This special alert control is based on a trigger mechanism for a rapid response and immediate reassessment of a given strategy in the light of a sudden and unexpected event. Special alert control can be exercised via the formulation of contingency strategies and assigning the responsibility of handling unforeseen events to crisis management teams. The instances of such sudden and unexpected events can be say sudden fall of government at center or even state terrorist attacks, industrial disaster or any natural calamity of earthquake, floods, fire, and so on. So those are the four basic types of strategic control.
Strategic evaluation process. The first one is setting standard performance. It must focus on questions like what standard should be set, how should this standard be set, and in what terms should this standard be expressed. A firm must identify the areas of operational efficiency in terms of people, processes, productivity, and pace. It must be related to the key management tasks. The criteria for setting a standard, it may be qualitative or quantitative. Therefore, standards can be set keeping in mind past achievements, compare performance with industry average or major competitor. Factors such as capabilities of a firm, core competency, risk-bearing ability, strategic clarity, and flexibility and workability must also be considered. The second one is the measurement of performance. Standard of performance act as a benchmark in evaluating the actual performance. Operationally, it is done through accounting, reporting, and communication system. The key areas which must be kept in mind are difficulty in measurement, timing of measurement, and periodicity in measurement.
Topic under strategic evaluation process. In number 3, analyzing variance. While measuring the actual performance and comparing it with the standard performance, there may be a variance which may be analyzed. The strategist must mention the degree of tolerance limit between which the variance between actual and standard performance may be accepted. The positive deviation indicates a better performance, but it is quite unusual exceeding the target always. The negative deviation is issue of concern because it indicates a shortfall of performance. Thus, in this case, the strategist must discover a cause of deviation and must take corrective action to overcome it. The three main tasks are not deviation and the cost deviation. Letter A. When actual performance equal to budgeted performance, tolerance limit must be set. B. When actual performance is greater than the budgeted performance and must check the validity of standards and efficiency of management. C. When actual performance is less than budgeted performance, we must pinpoint the areas where performance is low and take corrective action. The cause of deviation may be external or internal, random or expected, temporary or permanent. The two main questions are the strategies still valid? Does the organization have the capacity to respond to changes needed? And number 4, taking corrective action. Once the deviation in performance is identified, it is essential to plan a corrective action. If performance is consistently less than desired performance, the strategist must carry a detailed analysis of factors responsible for such performance. If the strategist discovered that the organizational But organizational potential does not match with the performance requirements, then the standard must be lowered. Another rare and drastic corrective action is reforming the strategy, which requires going back to the process of strategic management. Reframing of plans according to new resources allocation, trend, and consequence means going to the beginning point of strategic management performance. It's taking corrective action consists of checking performance. It includes in-depth analysis and diagnosis of factors that might be responsible for a bad performance. B. Checking standards. It results in lowering or elevation of standards according to the condition. C. Reformulated strategies, plan, objectives, giving a fresh start to the strategic management process.